Peru, a country in South America known for its stunning coastlines, ancient ruins, and rich history, is now in the spotlight for a very different reason: its connection to China. China has invested a massive $3 billion into a project that aims to reshape trade between the two countries. Chinese companies are bringing in ships to collect sand from the seabed near Peru's capital, Lima, and are even building tunnels, an iconic part of many large Chinese projects. This ambitious plan is all about making trade between China and South America faster, cheaper, and more efficient. Let's dive into the details and explore how this project is changing the game. Back in 2000, trade between South American countries and China wasn't very impressive. China exported $8.5 billion worth of goods to countries like Brazil, Chile, Peru, and Argentina, while only $3.9 billion worth of goods came the other way. But this changed dramatically in the years that followed. From 2000 to 2008, trade between China and Latin America grew by an average of 31% each year. By 2021, the total value of trade had skyrocketed to $450 billion, and by 2022, South American countries were receiving over $33 billion from China and sending nearly $200 billion worth of goods back. China became a crucial trading partner for South America, especially in terms of food imports like soybeans, meat, and vegetables, as well as copper, oil, and lithium, essential for electric vehicle batteries. In return, China sent industrial goods, electronics, telecom equipment, and construction tools to the region. The trade boom was undeniable, but the problem was how to move all of these goods efficiently. The most direct shipping route between South America's west coast and China would be a straight line across the Pacific Ocean. But it wasn't that simple. Instead, goods from China were often rerouted through ports like Hong Kong, then sent to Mexico or the US for countries further inland or on the Atlantic side of South America. Goods had to pass through the Panama Canal, the only quick link between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. However, the Panama Canal is not without its limits. The canal is only 50 miles long and can only handle about 36 to 38 ships a day, creating potential delays and bottlenecks. In 2023, an El Niño weather event made things worse. Higher temperatures and a 35% reduction in rainfall led to a drop in water levels in Gatun Lake, which is the canal's main water source. This meant fewer ships could pass through each day, causing major traffic jams. At the worst point, 200 ships were waiting to pass through, and even when things improved slightly, 150 ships were still stuck in line. The Panama Canal Authority reduced the draft, which is the distance a ship sits below the waterline. This meant that larger ships could no longer carry as much cargo because they had to be lighter to stay within the new depth limits. As a result, ships were forced to unload some of their goods, causing delays and increasing shipping costs. This change disrupted global trade, especially for big ships that need more space to operate efficiently. Shipping through the Panama Canal was always expensive and slow, but by 2023, the situation had become even more challenging. And that's where China's new port project in Peru comes in, designed to bypass the Panama Canal and offer a faster, cheaper alternative. The idea of a major port in Peru isn't new. It actually goes back to 2007. When a former Peruvian Navy admiral proposed building a port south of the historic Chancay Pier. Small-scale work started in 2016, but the project gained real momentum in 2019 when the Peruvian company Vulcan and China's COSCO Shipping teamed up. Together, they planned a massive $3 billion expansion of the original idea. In 2021, the first phase of the Chancay Port project began, including 4 new berths, 2 for containers and 2 for general cargo. But what made this project stand out was the extensive dredging operation. Dozens of ships were brought in to remove millions of tons of sand and silt from the seabed to make the port deep enough to accommodate very large container ships, ones that are too big for the Panama Canal. To understand this, you need to know about the different types of ships that can pass through the Panama Canal. There are Panamax ships, which fit the original locks, and Neo-Panamax ships, which fit through the expanded locks. However, many modern ships, known as post-Panamax, are so large that they can't fit through the canal at all. This is where Chancay shines. Thanks to extensive dredging, Chancay Port now has a depth of 58 feet, enabling it to accommodate the world's largest container ships, capable of carrying up to 18,000 containers. This makes Chancay the first port on South America's west coast that can handle these mega vessels, which the Panama Canal is unable to accommodate. Chancay is not just about size, it's about efficiency. The tunnel is being built for trucks to quickly transport goods in and out of the port, making it easier to trade with China. The tunnel is 1.1 miles long, with a speed limit of 37 mph, which is enough for smooth cargo flow. In addition to the road, there are 2 conveyor belts for bulk materials and pipelines for liquid cargo. The port is strategically connected to the Pan American Highway, allowing goods from China to reach countries across western South America quickly and efficiently, while also providing a direct route for South American exports to China. Seaports are constantly under threat from waves and ocean currents, which can erode the shoreline and damage infrastructure. To protect Chancay, China and Peru built a 1.6-mile-long breakwater. While it may not be the largest in the world, it is certainly enough to shield the port from the damaging effects of the ocean. The breakwater is constructed with thousands of tons of gravel and reinforced with special concrete blocks, called acropodes, designed to absorb wave energy. The new trade route between South America and China officially began with a shipment of fruit. After the first phase of Chancay Port was completed, a Chinese vessel, the Xin Shanghai, set off for Shanghai with 20,000 tons of fruit, including blueberries, avocados, grapes, and mangoes. The ship made the journey from Peru to China in just 23 days, proving that the port is already speeding up trade, just as planned. Soon after, the first shipment of electric cars from China arrived in Peru, marking a significant milestone for Chancay Port. Even though the port was still under construction, it had already started facilitating trade between China and South America. This early shipment highlighted the port's potential to streamline the flow of goods, significantly reducing shipping times and providing a faster, more efficient alternative to traditional routes like the Panama Canal. It also demonstrated that despite not being fully operational, Chancay was already playing a key role in reshaping trade between the two regions. As the Chancay Port project continues, the second phase will add 11 more docks, bringing the total to 15. The project's total cost will increase from $1.3 billion to around $3 to $3.6 billion. Once fully operational, Chancay Port is expected to handle 1 million 20-foot containers per year, with the capacity to increase to 1.5 million. It will process over 40,000 tons of goods every day, drastically reducing shipping times. The trip from Peru to China, which usually takes 35 days, will now take just 23 days. The port's ability to handle post-Panamax ships gives it a significant edge over the Panama Canal, making it a more efficient and cost-effective route for trade. Peru stands to gain significantly from Chancay Port. It could earn up to $4.5 billion in the long run. The construction of the port also creates job opportunities. While many Chinese workers are involved in building the port, local Peruvians are also getting involved. Once completed, the port will create about 8,000 permanent jobs for Peruvians. While the port brings many benefits, there are some concerns from local communities. Increased road traffic due to construction has led to higher levels of air pollution and noise. Fishermen, who depend on the surrounding waters for their livelihoods, are worried that the port's construction will disrupt their work. They fear that pollution and changes in the local ecosystem could harm fish populations and reduce their catch, which would directly affect their income. Chancay Port is also creating a headache for the United States. The U.S. has long worked to maintain influence in South America, but China's growing presence in the region is challenging that. The Belt and Road Initiative, which China leads, is making the U.S. nervous, especially as countries like Peru are building major trade hubs with Chinese assistance. For instance, Panama, home to the crucial Panama Canal, had briefly joined the BRI, but pulled out after U.S. pressure. The U.S. has been keen on ensuring security in its backyard, as former President Trump put it. Now, with Chancay Port in operation, the U.S. is even more concerned, particularly since Chinese container ships are bypassing the Panama Canal and heading straight to Peru. What's clear is that Chancay Port is already providing benefits to both Asia and South America, and it will continue to do so in the future, reshaping trade routes and global commerce in the process.